Hey, everybody. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us today. My name is Benjamin Tosado. I'm the Chief Growth Officer at Parmonic. Today, we're going to be talking about how to creatively repurpose webinar content. How you can take webinar content that you've got sitting in your organization or that you're going to be creating in upcoming webinar events and repurposing it to get better use out of it and more engagement out of it over time. So a summary of what we're going to be discussing today. First thing we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about B2B webinars in general. Give you guys some statistics about them and just some different data points about B2B webinars, their effectiveness, how folks engage with them, and some of the ways where there are gaps in webinars as a content delivery mechanism that we'll be able to help talk about later as opportunities for us. The content dilemma. So we're going to talk a little bit about how audiences and marketers have a dilemma about engaging with content. Video marketing, we're going to talk a little bit about how video marketing is on the rise, right? And how that's linked, but not exactly the same thing as webinar-oriented events. We're going to talk about how to repurpose your webinar content, and then we're going to get into how we can help, how Parmonic can help all of you with that. So first, to talk about B2B marketing webinars. So these are some data points. A couple of our partners that are in the digital marketing space, variety of companies, have collected over the past couple of years by surveying their customers that are all marketers like you guys, like we are, in a variety of different, right? So the first one is cost, right? How much does it cost to put on a webinar? So we got an average cost when we looked at these studies of $3,000 to $5,000. So I think that's a good average. We find that a lot of our customers actually spend quite a bit more than that, though, right? It really depends on how the webinar is being produced, right? Is it being produced in-house? Is a third-party agency being used to produce the webinar? How is it being promoted? Is it being promoted via email, via call downs, via social, via all of those channels? Who's doing the promotion? How big is the audience that you're promoting to? All of that impacts the cost. $3,000 to $5,000 is a good average. We've seen customers spend 4 or 5 times that producing a webinar event, right? Second statistic that's interesting is 2 to 5% make a purchase immediately. 2 to 5% of audience members make a purchase immediately after a webinar event. I think this is a statistic that, if you're familiar with it, you've probably been exposed to it in the past, right? As marketers, we know a lot of times a webinar, you've got a prospect listening to a presenter like me today. The first time they hear our message, the first time that they hear about our company, the first time that we share some market data with them that they may find it, probably isn't the last time they're going to be engaged with us before they buy, right? Sometimes webinars are at the very top of the funnel, the beginning of a buyer, not necessarily the end. The length of a webinar is 45 minutes. We're going to keep this one a little bit shorter than that today, but usually they're 45 minutes in length, and 93% of consumers prefer to consume webinar content on their desktop computer. So why is that? Well, I think that's because 45 minutes is actually a pretty long video, right? 45 minutes is not a TikTok video. 45 minutes is like watching the finale of the show that you're streaming on Prime Video, right? It's a grab a bucket of popcorn and a soda video length of a video, right? So folks like to be in front of their computers typically in our events. That's an important point because we're going to come back to how folks typically consume video in general a little bit later, and it's a little bit different than that. 40% typically attend webinars, or less than 40% attend webinars, based on folks that register versus folks that actually show up. Right. This is something else that most of the marketers we work with have experienced in the past. There's usually a significant drop off between the folks that register for an event and the folks that actually end up attending. Marketers that invest in a webinar production platform typically do over 50 events a year. on average. It's a tremendous number of events, right? About one a week. We've got customers that kind of run the gamut. This was an average that we picked up from one of our partners that actually run one of the market kind of share leading webinar platforms out there. We've got customers that do everything from one a month, couple a month, all the way up to 50 plus a year. With the number is, if you look at this number of events over the cost to produce a webinar, 3 to 5K, or again, 4 to 5 times that, depending on how you're producing it, plus the internal investment in time, in recruiting stakeholders that are thought leaders within an organization to come speak and produce quality content on webinars. There's a significant cost there. Right? It's really important that as an organization is engaging in this type of marketing exercise, they really think about what their return is and they get the most out of these types of webinar events. 75% of marketers we've surveyed say they consider webinars a key part of not only their branding strategy, but their demand gen strategy, right? Their lead generation strategy. So a lot of folks are relying on this today as a main means to engage their audience. So that's always been the case. That's been the case for many years. But COVID in particular, as all of you can imagine, and most of you probably know, has really accelerated this, right? So a lot of events that used to be held in person are now held over online platforms like the one we're all participating in today. And remote work is something that's seeming to persist through and maybe even beyond COVID, right? It's changed the way people approach in-person meetings. It's changed the way people approach in-person events. So the likelihood is webinars are going to continue to be on the rise and continue to be a growing way that that the marketers, right, are engaging the audiences that they're going after. So what does all of this mean? We're spending a lot of time and money on making webinars, getting people to show up to them, getting subject matter experts to speak on them, right? And after all of that, if the webinar content's not repurposed, what are we left with? We're left with an audience or a group of attendees that's smaller than the ones that registered, right? The one that registered, that's definitely smaller than the audience that we're targeting, and a small number of buyers that are potentially ready to become customers after the event. So why is that, right? I would say that one of the main reasons that traditional webinars aren't as effective as all of us would love them to be is because people are overwhelmed and distracted, right? Asking somebody for 45 minutes of their time is actually a pretty big ask these days. So there are a couple of examples that I wanted to tell you guys about to kind of demonstrate this, right? So Harvard Business Review actually did a study among executives, right? They surveyed a group of executives who are, a lot of times the targets of the marketing that we're doing, that you guys are doing, right? And they looked back at how much time those people were spending, or people in those types of roles, I should say, were spending in meetings in the 1960s, when computers as they are today didn't exist. Telephony as it is today didn't really exist. Communications definitely didn't exist as it does today, right? Folks were a lot of times working in an office and spending a lot of time in person. And at that point, executives were typically spending about 10 hours a week in meetings. Compare that to today, where the average is 23 hours per week in meetings, right? So 23 hours per week in meetings, average executive is spending today, right? So that's over half of a normal work week. So let's combine that with a McKinsey study. McKinsey did a study of how much time information workers, right, folks that are using the modern communications tools that we work with today, how much time they spend responding to emails, reading and responding to emails. And this isn't even other forms of digital communication that we all work with now, like instant messaging, different team-oriented software, stuff like that, just email. And they found that information workers are typically spending 13 hours a week reading and responding to emails. So if we look at 23 hours a week participating in meetings, 13 hours a week reading and responding to emails, right? What you end up with is the majority of the work week, and that's before you have to do any of the other tasks associated to your role. So why do I bring all of this up? If you think about that type of burden that already exists on our audience's time, right? Asking them for 45 minutes is actually a pretty big ask, right? I love the fact that all of you guys joined us today, right? I'm glad that you guys are fired up about what we're doing and have committed to give us the time today. We appreciate that. I believe that asking for 30, 45 minutes, an hour of people's time in this type of environment, in the current kind of climate, is really a big ask, and there's got to be a better way. So these are questions that we hear from prospects that we're working with, right? From organizations that we're working with, that we're talking to about what we do, and we'll get into kind of how we help with some of these types of problems in a few minutes. But we have folks come to us and say, hey, I want to make webinar touch points more impactful, right? And we have folks come and say, hey, I need content for weekly and monthly, marketing activities, right? So I want to make webinar touch points more impactful. Again, you've got that big investment in webinars, right? The money, right? The time, the stakeholder buy-in internally to get folks to speak and participate, right? All of the promotion that has to happen, all of the follow-up that needs to happen to make sure that anybody who attended or anybody who registered is a meaningful part of a sales funnel, right? All of that investment's huge. So we have companies come to us and say, hey, we want to make events more impactful. And then we have folks usually in other marketing types of roles that come to us and say, I need more content for my weekly and monthly activities. I have to maintain a blog. I have to maintain social media posts, right? I have to have a steady drip of content that I to salespeople, and then I can provide that are reaching out to prospects, and then I can provide to our audience at large, so that we can keep engaged, stay top of mind, so that when they're ready to buy, they want to buy from us, right? So this is a common kind of set of asks that we get from organizations that we're talking to. So if you look at the two previous slides, right? So just to go back, you've got an audience that's completely distracted and overwhelmed, right? They've got a ton of stuff going on. It's really difficult to spend time even doing their day-to-day work with the amount of meetings they have, the amount of communications they have. And then you've got a group of marketers that are trying to get the precious amount of attention that these folks have left available. And they really need more content, more impactful content that those folks care about to be able to go ahead and do that. So that's kind of the mutual dilemma that goes on here, right? You've got an audience that's completely overwhelmed, stuff that we're sending them as marketers with all of their day-to-day activities. And then you've got a group of marketers, right, like us, that just need more stuff that's going to get these people's attention. So now let's talk a little bit about video marketing, right? So video marketing, and I want to kind of separate this at least a little bit from webinars, right? So webinars, definitely one form of video marketing, but there are a variety of others out there, right? Variety of different types of video that you can put on a website or put in a social post, or include links and emails to, right? Variety of different types of email. Might be webinar-oriented content like this, could be animated video, could be a variety of different things. Video marketing in general is on the rise, right? So 54% customers who are surveyed, B2B customers, say they want to see more video. I think all of us are experiencing this in our lives today, right? It's easier for a lot of us to watch a video and learn how to do something or learn about something than it is to go ahead and read about something, right? A lot of people in this kind of digital day and age, leaning more towards, hey, I'm going to go watch a YouTube and figure out how to put that together rather than read an instruction manual, as an example, right? And then there are a lot of statistics that bear out how video makes marketing more effective, right? And these are some more stats that I'll share with you guys that we've collected from some of our partners that are in this space with us. But we typically see that visitors increase 2 to 3 times on websites that have video. And again, this is, I think, because folks are getting more and more used to consuming video and learning from consuming video, right? Whether it's, watching things on YouTube or watching videos on TikTok or watching videos on other forms of social media. People are getting more and more comfortable with consuming information and learning through watching video. So if your website's got video on it, it makes it a much more inviting, much more engaging place for folks to come. 52% of ad spend, there's a 52% ad spend growth through 2023 in video. This is kind of along the same vein, right? Advertisers are realizing that people are more and more inclined to watch videos to consume information, so they're spending more on it. You're 6 times as likely to have your tweet retweeted if it's got video in it, right? Another example, social media example. If you're using video, you've got a much better chance of getting the audience engaged, right? Website, 53% more likely to rank on page number 1. You've got video on your website, another example of web video effectiveness. 90% of people watch videos on their mobile. So this is another interesting kind of departure from what we were talking about with webinar content earlier, right? Most of the folks watching a webinar want to sit in front of their computer. Almost everybody is consuming video on their phone. Why? Because they're consuming shorter videos on their phone, right? And the last 2 stats that I want to share really bear that out. 68% of respondents said that they will watch a video. You'll get 68% of people to watch a video if it's under 1 minute. You'll only get 25% of people to watch it if it's over 20 minutes, right? So what does all of this mean, right? What it means is videos king, but more specifically, short videos king, right? It gets watched more. It's easier to consume on a website, so the website's better ranked and gets more visitors. It's more suitable for social media marketing, so it drives higher engagement there, right? People enjoy watching shorter videos, and they're easier to push out through a variety of different marketing channels that can help us engage our audiences. And this is the last and my favorite stat that I'm going to share with you guys. 8 seconds. So 8 seconds is the average length of the human attention span. So I heard a colleague say, people's eyeballs are precious, right? If you've got somebody's eyeballs, you want to make sure that you're providing the most impactful, compact message that you can, because you're only going to have them for a very, very short period of time, right? So the idea here is, how can we take all of this webinar content that we've created, that we're going to keep creating over time, right? And how can we go ahead and repurpose it? And the answer is, we have to make it what our audience wants, right? And what does our audience want? What does our audience want? They want short and sweet. They want short and sweet videos, right? So take long form video and transform it into digestible, distributable pieces that are great for websites. They're great for social. They're great for email. They're great to consume on mobile, right? Small pieces of content that are easy to consume and audiences. And that's what Parmonic does. So Parmonic is a video automation tool for B2B marketers, right? So we help B2B marketers attract more people and drive more content by helping take video content that they're already creating and making it what we call Munchable, right? Making it small, making it bite-sized, making it easy to consume, and making it easy for a marketer to push out over a variety of different commonly used marketing channels. Do that, right? So the first thing that I want to talk about here is we call them Munchie. So Munchie's are our AI engine in the cloud, right? So what Munchie does is looks at long form video right, and uses NLP and computer vision, variety of different artificial intelligence mechanisms to watch webinar content, right, and then intelligently selects moments for a B2B marketer and says, hey, based on the thousands and thousands of videos I've watched, these are the most impactful moments that are in this video, right? Then it presents those moments to the marketer and then transcribes them into text and gives the marketer the capability to edit those videos in a very, very easy way using a click-to-text editor. So those moments that the artificial intelligence engine selected were really cool, right? But I want to go ahead and change them up a little bit, and they can very easily, in a very automated way, edit the videos. We're transcribing the video so that the transcriptions can be used for a variety of different purposes, including burning titles onto the video if we want to post it on a social site and know that the sound won't be available, in addition to translating them, right, into different languages if we need video to be available. So we're finding key moments. We're presenting them to a B2B marketer. We're allowing them to edit them. We're transcribing them, and then we're also glamorizing them. So you guys will notice that today's video actually is a professionally produced video, right? Well, our tool produced this video. Most webinar videos, most online meeting videos, most videos that are created with things like Zoom or Microsoft Teams or even On24, a purpose-built webinar tool, right, don't have the look of, let's say, a video that's produced by an agency that produces videos full time. We've got the capability to glamorize a video, take the proportions of the windows, so the view of the speaker, the view of the content, and match them up so that they look like they should. We can add branded bumpers to the video and logos, appropriate colors to the borders of the video, so it looks like a professionally produced marketing video. And we do that with the main video that we're ingesting into the system, like let's say a whole webinar, that's also available on all of the Munchable moments. And then we give a B2B marketer the capability to push that video out over a variety of different channel-specific outputs, right? So go ahead and push it out via email, via social, post videos on a website so that you can get that engagement across all of those different platforms. So we're truly taking webinar content and we're repurposing it so that it can be munchable, right? Bite-sized, more engaging, easier to consume, right? So that it can be pushed out over a variety of different social media, web, email, right, channels. So we're helping solve both ends of the content dilemma I was describing earlier, right? So for the content consumer, we're giving them what they want. We're giving them small, bite-sized pieces of information that are the most impactful, the information that they need to get. We're keeping it short and sweet. For the marketer, we're giving them the plethora of content that they need to keep their audience engaged in real time. And we're doing it with content that they probably already have sitting on a hard drive, right, somewhere, sitting in a content database somewhere, or content that they're already going to be creating as part of their natural motion in producing webinars. In addition to going ahead and helping marketers repurpose video and then push it out over a variety of different channels, what we've done now is created intelligence on our platform so that we can give marketers the capability to understand what their audiences are watching of the content that they're creating on Parmonic, right? So which Munchable moments are getting watched, for how long, right? All of the different types of engagement data that you'd be interested in, that you can feed into a marketing automation tool like a Marketo, a HubSpot, a Pardot, an Eloqua, so that you can make better decisions on how you're going to treat that prospect in your funnel going forward, right? Are you going to change how you're communicating with them? Are you going to pass over to a salesperson to go and try to initiate a one-on-one communication? Are you going to change your nurture strategy towards the prospect? All of that's available now because we can pass engagement data from the Parmonic platform into these major marketing automation platforms. So as next steps, if you're interested in more information on how we can help you creatively repurpose your webinar content, please email us. You can email us at engage@parmonic.com, and we will set you up with somebody who can give you an in-depth tour of the platform and its capabilities, how we can help you repurpose your webinar content. We'd also love for you guys to join us at Content Marketing Institute's Demand Gen Summit this month, May 18th and 19th. Our CEO, Piyush Shaji, is going to be talking about how we can actually help you drive demand by using Munchable video content. And that's all, folks. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciated your time, and have a good afternoon.